everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. I'm going to show you a really fun project today. I'm eager to see it because I have kind of pieced one together, but I haven't done a full one because I'm using some pre-order product and I didn't want to use up any more paper than I had to. So as you probably know, we have a lot of new product that comes out May 6th. So in the past, we always had new catalogs, right? And so as our world has changed, then Stampin' Up! Has kind of adapted. So they have promised that we'll always have a new catalog because, you know, we're paper people, right? We like to hold that thing in our hand. But even myself, as much as I love the new catalog and I love to get the new catalogs, and I will always have catalog kickoff days and catalog kickoff specials, I find myself looking less and less at the catalog because I always have my phone with me, right? And so sometimes we're out and about and we're waiting and we're someplace where we can just pull it up and we can look at the website and see all the new things and things that we may have missed and things that other people are using, and like watching this video. So as the world changes, Stampin' Up! Has adapted, and so we also have online exclusive releases. In May, we have both a new catalog and we'll have some new online exclusive releases. What I'm going to show you today is an online exclusive. Those of you that follow me know that I was on jury duty last week. A week of my life I'll never get back, and I'm having a fresh start this week, so I am behind. I'm not where I would like to be because I rewrote my to-do list. I'm not a list person, but certain times of the year I'm pretty busy, and this is one of them. I did get my taxes done over the weekend, so that was a big cross off the list. But I'm significantly behind from where I want to be right now. But I'm having a fresh start, so it is what it is, right? When you're a one-woman show, there was nobody working for me when I wasn't here last week. So here are a few things. I would have hoped to have a couple of more new things. This is a new online release. These are from the catalog. They are all one suite called Beautiful Gallery. So those are all. One of the things I wanted to have done is catalogs in the mail. They're not in the mail, although I'm going to start on that today. Those of you that purchased from me in March, yours will start going out probably tomorrow with your thank you gifts, and then as the week progresses, I'll make my way through the list. It's a pretty big job, so I'll get those going. This is my first April Card Club project. We're using Thankful Garden, so this is another one that shows you the sweet Thankful Garden, and if you are in Card Club, you could recreate that later because it just uses pretty much the suite as is. I substituted a ribbon for it. And then the bonus set this month, which this is a Card Club project, is Grow with Love, and then this is another card using Grow with Love, so we will be making that. You can head to either this video or this video to learn all about my card club, and you have to have signed up by April 10th to join that. The other thing that I would have liked to have been able to tell you is kind of what's coming up once the new catalog's out there, so you know what, when you start to see it, what I'm using for May Card Club, and I'll let you know June Card Club and what my June free online class is. This is my May my May class. But when you're in a murder trial, I thought, well, at least during lunch and stuff, I will be able to maybe think some of that, but we weren't allowed to leave the room. So when you're in there with the jury and it's a murder, you're not thinking about card making, trust me. But this is also some new product. This is my Try It class. So this is my class for May. So early bird registration will end on April 10th. After that, the price goes up by $8, and it's getting pretty full. To be honest, I haven't checked since before, but more registrations have come in. I just haven't gone up there and counted. I know it's not full, but it's probably, I would say 2/3 full, and always the last day of early bird closing is like another bump in registrations. So it will close the end of April if it hasn't closed. I think I have May 1st as the deadline. So with this class, as the name implies, we try it. If you go watch this video about Bloom Impressions, this is all new product. We will do 10 cards together. I start with the new paper. They are a fun fold or a template. Everybody's might be a little bit different, as you can see on this one. This is an actual project. So it has a new folder, it has new embellishments, it has, maybe I have the wrong embellishments on today's project. I'm gonna take a second and go check, because maybe this is the same ones I'm using now. I don't know. When it's not in the catalog and I haven't printed out the online exclusives, it can be a tad bit confusing. But it has new dies, the new folder, new papers, new die cuts. So this is an actual card. I start with the paper, and then as the name implies, you try it. I may have already said that because I have made myself wonder about my embellishments. So, but it's super fun. And then you get a PDF. So in today's project, I'm going to take, it's not a Try It class project, but I'm going to take one from this past Try It class. So those of you that did the January mini catalog and online exclusives can get your PDF back out and make this exact project. But this is my hope, because I put a lot of work into the PDFs. This is my hope on how you use it. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So let me pull this up. Okay, I always have to pull it up. Whoops. While you're not looking, so nobody sees my password on the interwebs. So this would be, so you'll get 10 videos, because I'm a video based. So the videos are much more in depth. I highly recommend that you watch the videos if you take the class, and you can do just the online class where nothing is mailed to you, but then you'd have to buy all of the papers, all of the embellishments, all of the ribbons, and then most of the folder punches and all of those things. So this is the January 2025 releases. I may have a class or two, and one of the things that I had hoped to do last week was to get some more of my old classes, the leftovers. I always do a couple extra for postage, and if there's any mishaps, and I like to get those sold. But always, if you hit this little button here at the start of it, it takes you to the playlist that has all of the videos. So obviously this one also had celebration. You can see a picture of the project, and then it has all the measurements, and then a snippet of the instructions, much more in depth, because sometimes it's hard to put into words like how you fold it. So there's always 10 projects. So I am going to go project 9 here. So this one was Everyday Arches. It has the measurements, and here is the actual card. They could always be a little bit different, because there's obviously not everybody's going to get the exact same piece of paper, right? Because otherwise I would have to buy, if 100 people do the class, I would have to buy lots and lots of paper for y'all to have the exact same one. That's why, where did I just leave it? These two have different paper, but overall they're the same. It also helps us, well, I say us, like I do a lot of the die cutting. I do very minimal, if any, of the die cutting. My husband does it. But it helps if there's several, like this particular thing, he'll have to do the same hoop over and over and over, but there's similar flowers and similar leaves. So the overall card version is the same, even though the paper's a little bit different. The leaves are a little bit different. The flowers are a little bit different. But it also shows you then more paper, because I can take a couple of different, you can even see, this one is this card here, and then there was another version. So the one I do, that I make the first time, is often not the same paper. I just take a packet, just one of the packets that gets packed when I make the thing. So this is Everyday Arches. So what I just did was I went over and I took my paper, and I am going to use the arches because I'm in love with the arches. I took those, and then here's all of my measurements. So I took my measurements and I cut the cardstock and I scored it where it said on my PDF. So if you did this class, you can just open up your PDF and just do it again. So I did everything just as it says right here, and then we're going to put this together. Except I'll show you the paper for the Cheers and Sips, and I'll show you the stamp set, because I'm going to stamp because I have it. There's no stamping in Try It class, because otherwise then you guys would have to have all the stamp sets that I use, and that's my goal, is for you to try it, not to get bogged down in stamping. So here is the Cheers and Sips stamp set. It's adorable. So you can make cocktails or mocktails or juice drinks or all kinds of stuff. You can make a really cute little, let me pull these out, the ones I've used already up here. I'll pull those out again when I die cut my stuff. So you do get a lot of die cuts in the Try It class, a lot of them. But but not anything that's stamped, because, for example, in this class, I can already show you what you're probably likely going to get. So here's the paper, super fun, super bright, super cheery. There is a scrapbook pack that is in the catalog. This is an online exclusive. So here's the piece I'm using. If you don't know how to color, then just take a look at the paper, because it will give you some ideas. So we can either use these tiny little pieces, depending on the card that I end up designing for this particular set. You don't even have, we will definitely use some of the drinks, because it can be a cocktail or a mocktail. It can just be a fun summer drink. It doesn't have to be alcohol. But here, this is what we end up doing a lot in Try It, because so much of our paper now has a large image that we can cut out. So everybody's focal image may be a tad bit different. You may have this little lime drink here, or you may have this over here. But it also helps you when you get the stamps to see how to color some of these, or perhaps how to put the ice inside the cup, because there are ice stamps. Again, here's the sheet I'm using. But part of the reason I don't like to use a whole lot of my cardstock or designer series paper this early on is because as much as we can, I like to cut once I design the cards. And then if I use it all making cards just to show on the video, then sometimes we get to the end and my husband's like, do you have one more sheet of this? And I'm like, I made cards for a video. So I try not to do that. So let's stamp first. They are repairing the road out in front of my house today. So that's that lovely sound, because, you know, that's what I want them to do. So this is just a stamp on. I'm going to use Memento. And this is also what you can do when you do the Try It class, is do the card and then don't glue it all together, because if you would rather add some stamped images, and you can always add sentiments, because we don't add sentiments, again, because it's a non-stamping class. So there is our cup. There are two glasses. You probably saw there's the taller one and the shorter one. Now this is kind of one of those, it could be a swizzle stick of any kind. So you could stamp it in color. If you did it in maybe the basic beige, it could be like a bamboo swizzle stick. I'm going to use it for the top of my umbrella. And then these pieces here, I just mounted all together on one, because they're all going to go through the die cut machine. So I have a mint leaf, a blackberry, and then my umbrella. There. And then on these pieces here, so this is like a little slide up and lift card. On this, I put designer series paper. You could easily stamp happy birthday or something on top of it. On mine though, on this one, I'm going to stamp on it. So this and that. So this is the piece that's going to go there. And you can see that a lot of it is underneath the portion there, because this is how long it is. So I'm going to stamp on it, but I'm going to stamp towards the top. So I have It's Your Day, Let's Celebrate. And I mounted them together. They're two separate little stamps. I can put them right here. And then I'm going to go back over, pull this off. Hopefully I didn't get ink all over my hands. And just use my blackberry. I think it can be a blackberry or a raspberry, because there's both colored on the paper. Isn't that lovely? I just set everything up to film, and then there was some loud banging, like huge banging, and I thought maybe somebody hit my car in my driveway, and then I went to the window, and no, it's them tearing up the road. So this is going to go on the inside of my card. And then this is the top, which on this card was designer series paper, and on the back it was regular cardstock. But I'm going to put my cheers there. So now let's color these in. And I am going to use my shimmer solution, which there will be a, if you go to my website, if you don't know what my shimmer solution is, it's Wink of Stella base with some glycerin. There will be a link at the top of the blog post for you to find out how to make it. I put some on my block. I'm going to paint with it. But the other thing I'm going to do, so when I kind of mock placed this card together, my intent, this is the same piece of designer series paper, was to have this and then that, because this is beautiful, right? But when you lay this on top, it almost all gets covered up. I've already got some shimmer solution on here because it's on my hands. But when you flip it this way, it has all of the colors, and that's really what I'm concerned about, that it has all of the colors show. So when that gets covered up, then you can still see all the colors, because this will open. See this, you're going to see when that opens. So I'm going to take this piece here, grab my scrap paper. I want to make sure that I don't shimmer everywhere because it takes a minute to dry. If you're doing it and you have time for it to dry, then you can shimmer all of it. I'm just going to go around the edges. And especially on this black paper, it's going to look really pretty. I thought it was kind of an interesting choice. So the cat was up here on the table. I've got cat hair everywhere all over me. I had started to film the video once and she got up on the table and I was holding her, showing you guys the cards when they made the loud noise, and then all of the cats left. So then I had to start over. So we're going to let that dry. And then I'm going to take just the edges of this. You can see where I've scored it. Just add some. Not all of this is going to show because we're going to mount the paper around it. Just a little bit where it's going to show. And then the same on this. More of this will show because we're just going to put the glass on top of it. So there's all of our stuff that we're going to shimmer. And then I'm going to color these in with Wink of Stella. I guess I'll put some here. I wasn't going to, but since it's got some, you can see where I touched it. I got it on my fingers from my... when I opened the bottle. Okay. So I'm going to take, we'll start with my basic beige because I wasn't quite sure what color I wanted to make my drink. So this is an empty Wink of Stella. And it is the one of the ones that I took and I just squeezed the whole thing into this little bottle that I got from Amazon. Everybody that is in Card Club got one last year, and then this month, if they need a new one or they're new to Card Club and weren't in it last year, they can get a new one. So you're just going to take your, there's two ways you can do it. You can just put some drops of refill in there, or you can squish your lid. If I'm going to use a lot of color, then, and you'll see on one of them because maybe more than one where I've done that, then you can just pick up some of this. And I'm just going to paint my drink. Adds enough shimmer that it's beautiful. It makes your Wink of Stella go much more further than it does when you straight up. So when you straight up paint with Wink of Stella, it's much more shimmerier, is that a word? But this is plenty of shimmer and it makes your Wink of Stella last longer. So you just make sure that your brush stays wet. If it gets too dry, then the ink just soaks into the paper. So there is that. Then I'll move to the yellow, because I think that's the one where I have put, this is Lemon Lolly, where I squeezed it into the lid. And I did that when I did that club card earlier that I showed you. But when you have the refill in there, then it colors really quickly. And then I just took this to kind of be like a plastic stick. If you wanted it to be a plastic stick, you could also just color it in that color. But I can just color over it. Then I will show you the blackberries, and then I'll color the rest off camera, and then I will just run them through the die cut machine. But for the blackberries, because there were more than one, I started out with the Gorgeous Grape. Probably if I was just doing the one, I just would have done blackberry. But because there were a few, I thought it was worth my time to give it a little bit of, I act like this is something fancy because I used 2 colors. So I just did some Gorgeous Grape in the middle to kind of highlight it. And then I just filled it in, but you can see that little bit of a highlight does make it look. And then I added the Old Olive. I'm gonna do the mint leaves in Old Olive because that's what they are on the paper. They maybe also have a little bit of Mossy Meadow. So maybe if I was doing, you know, a picture frame or a wedding card or showering, something that was a little bit more fancy, I might do Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. But for this, that's fine. And then I did the peach pie. I'll do the peach pie in the middle, and then that will be done. And then these get cut out. Obviously, those don't because they're going to stay on. Okay, those are cut out. So let's know what we have to do is stick it together. So what I'm going to do first is stick the pieces together that are layered. Where did I put my bone folder? Here it is. Just make sure everything's creased well. And you can see as this dries, it leaves the wet goes away and it just will be shimmery. But up here, I just want to make sure that it gets on the parts that don't have the glycerin on them. So this is going to go here. And this piece will go down here. I'm going to put this part so the orange and yellow gets on the bottom. So there's our card. And then this piece is going to get on here. I did have the wrong embellishments. I looked when I put my password into my iPad. I headed over to the Stampin' Up website real quick and looked on that. So for this, it does help if you have a stronger adhesive. So I am going to use some tear and tape, and there's a couple of places that we need to put it. You could use green glue, but then you'd have to sit and wait for glue to dry, and I don't have patience for that ever. Even if I'm not on camera or filming, I rarely have the patience for it. So I'm going to put a strip of it here, and then I'm going to put a strip right here. Now it has to go all the way to the edge. Sometimes, I've been doing these Try It classes since 2020. I'll always remember the year because the first one I did was opposite. It was not to try a new catalog. It was to get rid of all of the stuff that I had purchased for doing in-person classes and had been unable to use because, you know, it was 2020. But sometimes I go, now you want to make sure that where you put your tear and tape is not going to block this because this needs to be able to move, so we're good. But sometimes when I do my classes, I go back to an older PDF and I modify something. So I kind of change the direction, or I add another panel or make something wider. So this, you are going to take this piece here and put it in the center. And this is going to make our insert that pulls up, and then pull these two off down here. And if you check them before to make sure that you got them so that piece fits and they were not in the right spot, then simply don't take the backing off of it. And then press this, and then that folds down like this and slides in here. So this is a pretty thin one. I know other demonstrators do it, and some of them do it almost the width of the card. I like to have that little gap in there so I have a little bit more to work with. So this then will slide up. You can also put a glue dot and put a gift card on it, and it will pull the gift card up with it. So that's the inside. Now let's make our front. The ribbon that comes with this suite, I know I got it out, right here in front of me, is beautiful. It is the, what's it, gold striped ribbon. And I'm going to just do it like I did on this card. I'm not going to change much. So I'm just going to tie it around here. So one of my favorite parts of Try It is that you all get a little ribbon bag and your little embellishment bag. So you get all the ribbon for all of your cards and the little tiny bag filled with all of your embellishments. And I just cut way too much of that. And it's kind of the same for the paper and the ribbon. I mean, ribbon and embellishments that it is for the paper that I get to the end. And I'm like, oh, if I just had one more thing. Although the ribbon I can pre-cut, and I just have all these post-it notes on bags of this one still needs gold, this one still needs this. And I can at least have a lot of them done. So we can't order all of the supplies until the catalog goes live. We can get what we can get on pre-order, but it's never enough to cut everything. And then we'll get as much done as we can. That's why I like to cut off registration. Get as much done as we can before we leave on the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip. And then once we get back, we have that and Card Club that have to go out. So it's usually, I don't like that it has to go out at the same time as the trip, but we do our best. The year that we went to Norway, we also had it, we added a week before our trip to do United Kingdom. So we had paid for my daughter and her, at the time, he wasn't even yet her fiance. They got engaged on that trip. But they came and my parents came, and we had one day where we made packets because it is a big job. We had it all cut, but that one was a lot of work. I don't want to do that again. So I'm just going to stick the umbrella in here like that. And then I'm going to add these at the bottom just for a little bit of a highlight. I'm not putting them in the drink, just putting them near the drink. And then when you add this to your card, you want to make sure that you don't put any glue on the bottom part. So I'm just going to add my adhesive here. And you could, if you wanted, use dimensional so this pops up. Really didn't want to trim this. I should have been a little bit more careful on how much I was using. Not that can't really have too much ribbon. And then here are the correct embellishments, the holographic resin dots. I had not used those yet, which should have told me that I had the wrong ones when I had already used them. So these are pretty. And usually in Try It we use 3, so I'll use 3. 1, 2. I do get a neck ache when I do the embellishment packets, and I do get a neck ache from it. So I don't have 2 to show you because I only did 1, but I'll show you this one. A fun little slide up. So this would be a fun fold. The one that I showed you before, remember I said they're about half fun fold, about half templates. This one I would call, it's more of a template, although it does have a little bit of a fun fold factor to it. But here's the one for those of you that were in January class. See how much nicer they lay when they've been sitting for a while and had stuff on top of them. So you just pull, if you've taken past Try It classes, pull those PDFs back out and use them, because that's what they're intended for. But I love this suite. And even though I thought the black paper was going to be my ish, I had thought that I would put it down here. Here's my thought process. I thought I'd put the black down here, and then I was going to emboss the cheers in white. But, you know, I have a lot of stuff on my table and a lot of stuff to get done. So embossing is kind of, but that's super fun on the inside. There's a little cat hair. You know, nobody gets something from my house without a cat hair on it. I'll have to get my tweezers to pull it out. So there you go. You have till the 10th to take advantage of the early bird. If you have to be in the United States to get a mailed packet, but literally you would spend close to $1,000 probably to buy all this stuff to complete it if you wanted it. But it's a great way, like I said, to try it. And we try to get it out as soon as possible. That way you're seeing all this stuff as close to catalog kickoff as you can. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a great day. Bye.